get that first big job I was going to have. And I remember sitting in the audience, and some gray-haired guy got up in front of me and started to say, now what's he going to tell me? What good is he going to have as I look to either improve the current job I had or get the first one? And I wish this person had told me three things that I learned over 30 years. Three things. If I had had that in the first 10 years of my career, I think I would have done even better. And the first was, whoever we believe put us on this earth gave us two of these and one of these for a very specific reason. If you listen to people a lot more than you think that you're adding value, especially at the beginning of your careers, you're going to be a lot better off. He went behind that big rock and took a nap. He was so tired. And here's this young guy kind of looking up at Big Jake like this. The foreman comes over and says, "What's your side of the story?" He goes, "Oh, Big Jake is right." I was chopping maybe about a third as fast as he was. I really did get tired about every 40 minutes. I went up behind that big rock. I didn't take a nap though. I sharpened my axe. Sharpened my axe. Sharpened the saw. That's what you have the ability to do through networking, knowing people, absorbing as much information as you can from anybody that you can absolutely get to have a conversation with you like that. I had a job 10 years ago because I bumped into someone at a networking event that we were all getting together just to discuss something, and turned out that I got a job from that person a year later. I hardly even remembered that I even bumped into that person, gave me a buzz, and the next thing you know, I had a job that I really wanted to do. So do those three things. If I could turn back the clock, I know I only look 25, but I'm actually a little bit older than that. If I could turn back the clock, 25 years, I'd really concentrate on those type of things. And really go to improve yourself any chance you get, and be very, very proactive. Be very, very proactive, and never quit. Never quit. So I wanted to thank you for coming to this network event. I'm very involved with BPP. I know many of you are students or alumni of this great organization, and I thank you for being here, and I hope that you get a lot out of this networking session. And our major goal at Apollo is to help people improve their lives by getting either their first job, or if they're back to school, to get a better job. That's the entire quest that we have around the world with the hundreds of thousands of employees that we have, hopefully aiding students like yourself on a global basis to improve their lives. So wanted to welcome you all. I'll hang around and take a couple questions if you'd like, but thank you all for either currently being a student or in many cases alumni of this great organization called BPP. So thanks much. Any questions? I had a really good camera, and I always found bosses in very precarious positions. I think it was listening a lot and networking. So not to, say this is the only way you do it, but I think it was listening to what customers wanted and bosses wanted. Another very wise mentor, I worked for IBM for 18 years, said, if I teach you nothing, I'm going to teach you the following. What interests your boss and your customers should fascinate you. What interests your boss and your customers should fascinate you. And that always stuck with me at a very early age, which was to just listen and try and scratch the itch that they couldn't scratch. If the boss was having trouble doing this, I volunteered for that assignment. If a customer couldn't get this done, I just tried to find a way, either through myself or whatever company I was working with, to scratch that itch that they couldn't scratch. If you do that, you get noticed, and then you have to prove yourself, but that's been pretty much a core for 30 years that I've continued to ask myself every time I talk with a customer or one of my bosses. So hopefully that helps. It's a good question. It's a little different environment. Even how, quite honestly, around the world, and I've traveled to 30 countries. I fly about 450,000 miles a year in different countries, and it's different for females. What males typically get away with in some parts of the world, you couldn't even fathom to do as a female, and in some cases, when the woman boss might be a little bit passionate or aggressive. When a male does it, well, that's good, that's passionate. If a female does it, sometimes it's the B word, right? She's a, right? And it's just the world that we live in, and unfortunately what you have to deal with. I would not back down at all from the proactive, aggressive way that I think you want to manage yourself and manage people as you grow in your career. I think the thing you want to be sensitive to is you're going to be under probably a tiny bit of extra scrutiny when you do that. I think that can either be perceived bad or really, really good. And I have some great executives, female executives that are my peers and people that work for me. And I think used in that context, don't back down from it. Be sensitive to it. Be sensitive to it and use it to your advantage. Use it to your advantage. To be very passionate, very aggressive with what you want to do, because a lot of females won't take that risk. They're concerned with that perception that happens. I wouldn't back down from a second. So that's what I would do. Luckily, I'm not a female, but that's what I would do if I happened to be sitting in your shoes. Yeah.
I would like to just add a comment to make down front. I'm Lynn Parker, I run Fund Women, and I'm running a workshop on standing up to stand out as a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm the founder of an organisation, Female Comedy.
Okay.
So I know quite a lot about women having to stand up in the male's world.
Yeah.
So a little plug for myself there.
Okay. I don't think any networking is bad. There's two things in life. I don't think there's ever a bad hour spent with your family. And I travel a lot, so that's good. I don't think there's a bad hour spent networking, and I've never, ever spent a bad hour with a customer. You always learn something. And customers are completely different people depending on what stage of your career you're in. We have very valued clients, but to me, a networking, someone who's above me in an organization, I almost see as a customer. Because the more information I can get from that person, one of the most unique things that happened to me in one of the jobs was with a friend's friend that I met at a party and just chose, he had an unbelievable wealth of knowledge. And I chose to get him aside at the party, have a pint with him, and just chat with him. I hadn't heard from this person for 10 years. And I moved into a new flat in Boston, Massachusetts, and I looked across the hall, and I said, I know this guy. I don't know where it's from, but I just remember this guy. And finally, I had the guts to go over and kind of walk, oh, I know you. And you're afraid of, who the heck are you? I don't know you. And we hit it off to this 10 years ago that we had met at this one party. We got to talking. He had a consulting firm that was consulting for this big firm. And the next thing you know, that person was actually a customer of mine. It turned out to be one of the biggest customers I had at IBM. So I just don't think there's ever a bad hour when you're spending on that, because karma, or whatever you want to call it, tends to sometimes reconnect you with that. So anybody you think that can add value, and you know what? Most people really want to help people. When you really come down to it, I go to a lot of sessions, I go to a lot of different places where I'm trying to discuss with people what they should do in their careers. Most people want to reach out to people who are started and really help you out. So take advantage of that. Ask them the questions, deal with that, and good luck to you all. I'm sensing I'm about to get the hook of this. So